One of the things that I often like to say about solution focus is that this is an approach that's great for clients. In many ways, clients in solution focus can't get it wrong. If things go well, then we say, great client. Look at all the capacity, the strength, the competence, the ability that they brought to the work. If things don't go so well, we turn the gaze on ourselves and think, how could I have done better? So in that sense, in solution focus, the client can never get it wrong. The client is always right. When people used to ask Steve DeShazer to explain how come things went so well in his work, he would very often smile and say, because I get such great clients. Now, what you could think is that if the client can never get it wrong, and it's a great approach for clients, you might worry that maybe it isn't quite such a great approach for workers. But actually, that doesn't appear to be the case. And for many, many years, I have said, because I just could see and knew this, that solution focus was protective of workers against burnout, but actually didn't have any evidence for it. But now, with the research that Tony Medina and Mark Bayerbach in Spain have produced, I think we can be sure when we're saying that solution focus is protective against burnout, that actually it is the case. It does appear to be true. Look, there are times that I have led trainings and you can just hear that people are having a tough time. I remember one teacher who didn't appear to be terribly engaged in the training. In fact, he was spending most of his time sitting in the back row reading the newspaper. And at one point I was saying something and he looked up, seemed engaged for a moment, maybe he had been listening, and responded to me by saying, yeah, but they lie all the time. He was referring to the pupils he works with. They lie all the time. This clearly can't be true. So when people end up in these sad, I think, and cynical positions, something's gone wrong. You have to assume at some level that the system has under-supported people who arrive at that position. It just can't be right, that level of generalization. They lie all the time. This is just not possible. It's when you see people creating, and I don't think it is out of any sense of ill will, but ending up with an us and them world. We're like this, they're like that. As if somehow clients, service users, customers, whoever they are somehow completely different from us. You hear people sometimes saying, but they don't want to change. They, what, all of them don't want to change? Look, so systems under support people, and people can end up making these judgmental statements, particularly statements that do divide the world into, in some senses, us, the good, and them, the bad, the feckless, the whatever. So in what way, if we accept the idea that solution focus protects against burnout, why might that be the case? And actually, I think it's obvious. It's clear, isn't it? When we're working in a solution-focused way, the very first thing we're doing is we're listening for skills, we're listening for strengths, we're listening for competencies, talents, abilities, the uniqueness of the individual that will make them successful. And that's the version of themselves that we bring into the room, that we connect with, that we reflect back. Clients really don't arrive ready-made. We co-construct the clients that we work with. We can construct, co-construct, can't do it ourselves, of course, but we can co-construct talented, able, motivated clients who want to work with us. So we choose carefully in that sense who we work with, even though, you know, there are absolutely no exclusion criteria to solution focus. We choose with whom we work by co-constructing clients who are likely to be successful. And look, in addition to that, of course, we take a position that assumes that it's the client who's going to make the changes. I can't make people change. All I can do as a worker is to co-construct the context within which people can change themselves. So actually, all I'm responsible for, I'm not responsible for changing my client. I'm responsible for doing my very, very best to create a context within which they change themselves. And look, I talk with people at times who've gone through really, really, really tough times, who still are going through really tough times. And in solution focus, rather than eliciting the stories of toughness, people may choose to tell us if they wish, what I'm going to be interested in as a solution focused practitioner is their coping, their managing in the face of awfulness. So what we do is we elicit narratives, stories of staggering capacity, amazing resilience. What we connect with and what we hear are extraordinary people who manage amazing things in the contexts of their very, very tough lives. No wonder that actually, even if we find ourselves working in a context that is perhaps not particularly supportive of us in some way, nonetheless, choosing to use solution focus, even in those tough conditions, is likely to be supportive of the worker against burnout. Solution focus isn't just good for the client, it's good for us too.